Hello everyone, this is Rishabh Singh. I'm a legal intern at Lexis & Company. Today I'm going to discuss on the topic vicarious liability. Every person is liable for acts the person commits and not liable for the acts done by others. But in some situations, when a person is liable for the acts of another person, it is known as vicarious liability. So, for this to happen, there must be a specific kind of relationship between both the people, and the act must be connected with the relationship. These relationships can be a master or servant relationship, or a principal or a agent relationship. And vicarious liability is the liability of a person for an act of another person because of their relationship with each other. The basic meaning of vicarious liability is a legal doctrine that assigns liability for an injury to a person who did not cause the injury, but who has a particular legal relationship to the person who did the act negligently. It is also referred to as imputed negligence. In other words, vicarious liability means a liability that is imposed on a person for an unlawful act or omission by another person. Here, even if a person did not do any wrongful act himself, he can still be held liable if someone else does such an act. The liability arises in those cases where there is a special relationship that exists between the wrongdoer and the person who is held liable, such as the master-servant relationship. For example, assume Ramesh is an employee, and Suresh, while doing his job due to his negligence, Abhishek suffers injury. So here, due to vicarious liability, Suresh will be held liable for Ramesh's act because Ramesh was working on the behalf during employment, and thus Suresh will be liable for any wrong that arises from an act of Ramesh, because Suresh has authorized him to do the act. So, vicarious liability only deals with the situation where the person is liable for some other person's action. So, it is considered as an exception to the general rule that the person is liable for his acts only. Now, the question arises, when does the liability arise? The liability does not arise randomly, because Ramesh doing something wrong will not make Suresh responsible, but only when there is a special relationship that exists between people, vicarious liability will work in that case. Therefore, if Ramesh and Suresh have a relationship under vicarious liability, only Suresh will be held responsible for the action of Ramesh. So there are many relationships in which the concept of vicarious liability arises, like the master-servant relationship, the principal and agent relationship, partners and partners of the firm, and company and its directors, owner and independent contractors. So if there is a relationship in these mentioned nature between two persons, where the liability may arise from the person or action is committed by another person. For example, if Ramesh and Suresh in a master-servant relationship, then for any wrongdoing committed by Ramesh, his master Suresh will also be held liable if the act was committed at the time of Ramesh's employment. So, vicarious liability is based on two very important principles or maxims, which are qui facet per alium facet per se and respondent superior. So, qui facet per alium facet per se, according to this maxim, a person who acts through another person is deemed by law and has committed that act himself. Therefore, whenever a person authorizes another person to do so for himself, if any liability arises as a result of such act, and the person granting the authorization will be prosecuted, because by law he has committed himself through another person, and therefore he'll be held liable. And respondent superior means it's a maxim. The superior must be accountable to the law for the action of his subordinates. So whenever a subordinate commits an act of another person, another supreme person will be held liable for the errors of the law, and will be vicariously be liable. So essentials of vicarious liability are there should be a there should be some kind of relationship between the parties. The wrongful act must be done by someone else. The wrongful act must occur at the time of employment. And coming to the reasons of vicarious liability, the reasons behind holding the master liable for the action of the servants are that a servant is an agent who is controlled and employed by his employer. Thus, the servants act are in harmony with the master, which means that he acts in a way that pleases the master. The master therefore must be responsible for his actions. So the master always enjoys the benefits of the servant's effort. So he must also bear the loss of the servant's work, but only during his employment. The master is more secure than the servant. Also, the master therefore is more suitable to pay the damages caused by the servant's act or cruelty. But masters are allowed to take proper care and precautions to protect themselves in such situations. There are certain landmark cases of vicarious liability, such as the state of Rajasthan versus Vidyavati. Here, the facts of the case were that a man named Lokurnal was employed by Rajasthan government as a temporary driver of government vehicle. After his car was repaired on his way back from the workshop, he knocked down a resident at Jagdish Lal. Jagdish Lal was seriously injured and he died later. So the complainant's wife, named Vidyavati, and her daughter, through her mother as a close friend, sued Lokumal and the state of Rajasthan for help. The Supreme Court ruled that the state was guilty for damaging the damage done by the done as the driver's action was not an independent function. So this case clearly signifies the importance as well as the need of vicarious liability to be there. So this was all about vicarious liability. Thank you so much.